Hello everyone, thank you for joining again. My name is Taylor and today I'm going to show you how to create a budget calculator in HTML and JavaScript. So first, let's make sure that you can change file extensions, and the way we do that is we open up a File Explorer window, click on View, and make sure that File Name Extensions is selected. Now let's navigate to the desktop. Let's right click on the empty space right here. Right click, click New, and then Text Document. As you can see here, it shows the .txt file extension. So let's go ahead and delete everything, including the name, and name this finance.html. It will pop this up, making sure that you want to change the file extension. Say yes. Now we need a way to open up this HTML file and edit the contents. In order to edit this finance.html document, we need a text editor. Let's open up a browser. You could use Chrome, Edge, Safari, or Firefox as I'm using, and let's go ahead and type Kate and then editor. Let's click on this one, kateeditor.org, and then let's click on Get It. Scroll down if you're using Windows, and let's download the 64-bit installer here. Now let's click on the 64-bit exe file. Now that the download is complete, let's go ahead and open up the file by clicking on it. It'll pop up an administration panel, and then we will select Yes. Click on Next, 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 and finally Finish. Okay, now that we have Kate installed, let's close this. And now let's right click on this finance.html and select Edit with Kate. Now let's use this text editor to edit this document. We want to start off with adding !doc_type HTML. And now let's open up the HTML tag and close the HTML tag with a /HTML. We also need one more thing, which is body. And then let's close the body tag. Let's open up a div tag. Divs are similar to containers. So let's go ahead and open the div and close the div with a /. Let's give this div an ID. We do that by saying ID equals and then open and close quotations. This could be whatever you would like as long as it's not a keyword, so I'm just going to use container. Let's also set the style of this div tag by typing style equals and then open and close quotations. Here we will say text dash align and then a colon center and then end it with a semicolon. What this style is doing is making sure that anything within the div tag is centerized. So let's go ahead and add an h1 tag. This is a header tag. So we do that by typing h1 like this, and then we'll name this cache. And then we will add a br tag, which means add a new line. We will add an input tag. And what this does is it allows us to get input from the user. And we need to specify the type of input, and we will specify text box in here. Let's close the tag with a / and a greater than symbol here. Now let's add another break tag by adding the br. And then add another h1 tag, and then this will be called expenses. And let's add an input tag again. The type will be text box as well. Now let's add a button. and then let's say calculate. And inside of the button tag, let's add an onClick function. And what this means is when the button is clicked, do something. So let's call a function. We'll create a function later called calculate. So now that we have this, let's go ahead and save this, minimize the text editor, and let's double click on the .html file here. So as you could see, it aligned the text in the center. We can type numbers inside of the text area, and we have the button calculate. But this is not going to do anything until we add logic to our code. So let's go ahead and add some logic. Let's open up the text editor again, and I'll add another h2 tag here before I do this, and let's just say $0.00. So let's save this, minimize the text editor again, and refresh this page. As you can see, it shows 00. So what I want to do is whenever I put a number here, it's gonna subtract from the expenses, and when I click on calculate, this number will change to reflect the difference between cash and expenses. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to introduce you to JavaScript now. So JavaScript is a programming language that allows us to add a lot of functionality in our HTML and web pages. So we need to specify the script tag here. As you recall, I created onClick equals calculate like this. So let's go ahead and create this function here. So to do that, we need to type function space and then the name of the function, which is calculate. Let's open up brackets, and inside of those brackets, let's go ahead and get the input from the user. To do that, we need to actually specify an ID for the input. So I'm going to say ID equals, and I'll give this value 1. And then I'm going to do the same thing here with the second input and name this value 2 for the ID. So now we can call those input tags by typing document.getElement by ID and open and close parentheses dot value. And we need to specify the ID inside of here. So val1, and we need to copy this one more time so that way we could get value 2. So val2. So this comes from this input tag, and val2 comes from this input tag. Let's set these equal to a variable so that way we can do some calculations. We do that by specifying var and then any name you would like. So I'll say val1 is equal to. And then I'll do the same thing, but instead of val1, I'll say val2 equals this. So now val1 stores the value from the input tag of val1, and val2 stores the value from the input tag of val2. Now let's display the difference between val1 and val2 into this h2 tag. But as you recall, we need to give it an ID. So let's give it ID equals, and I'll name this total. So same thing here. We need to call document.getElement by ID, and instead of val2, let's change this into total, and not dot value but dot inner HTML is equal to. Now we could subtract val1 minus val2. So what this is doing is it's getting the h2 tag here, and it's setting the contents, the inner HTML, to the results of value 1 minus value 2. So whenever we click this calculate button, we are going to call this function and then do this calculations. Let's go ahead and save this and minimize the text editor. Refresh the page. Now whenever I click on calculate, you can see that the value of 100 minus 50 is displayed here. Let's add a $sign in front of the 50. So to do that, let's put these in parentheses and then add a $sign symbol in quotes and then plus. Let's save this, minimize this, refresh the page, and click on calculate. As you can see, it shows the calculation here. So if we say $500 and our expense was $80, you're going to see that the remainder is $420. Thank you all for joining, and I hope to see you next time.